If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. When the Cleveland Browns took the field against the Miami Dolphins in Week 7, few expected such a dominant, complete, and confident performance from a team that had been struggling to find its rhythm in recent weeks. After dropping 3 straight games and battling a wave of uncertainty around both sides of the ball, Cleveland came out swinging. And at the center of it all stood Grant Delpit, the safety who might just be on his way to the first Pro Bowl of his career. The Browns dismantled Miami 31-6, but the score only tells part of the story. What really turned heads was how Delpit played like a man possessed, aggressive, instinctive, and utterly relentless in every snap he took. This wasn't just another good game. This was the kind of performance that defines a season, maybe even a career. Delpit's journey to this point hasn't been a straight line. Since entering the league, he's had to deal with injuries, inconsistencies, and a defense that was often trying to find its true identity. But this year, something has clicked. He looks more confident, more in control, and more commanding than ever before. Against the Dolphins, everything seemed to come together. He forced a fumble, recorded a sack, and applied pressure all day long that made life miserable for Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami offense. It was the kind of complete performance that defensive coordinators dream about. A player who can line up deep, come downhill against the run, blitz off the edge, and make plays in coverage. It was Grant Delpit at his very best. The energy was different from the opening snap. You could feel it through the screen, that sense of urgency and pride that comes when a team is desperate to stop the bleeding. Before the game, Delpit had admitted that he'd almost forgotten what winning felt like, which is a heavy statement coming from a competitor of his caliber. That kind of honesty only makes his performance even more meaningful. He played like a man who was tired of losing, tired of excuses, and determined to set the tone. And boy, did he ever. Every time the Dolphins thought they had a window, Delpit slammed it shut. Every time they tried to find space, he filled it before they could blink. It wasn't just about stats. It was about presence, about momentum, about leadership. Mary Kay Cabot, one of the most respected insiders covering the Browns, put it best when she wrote, "Browns safety Grant Delpit playing at a Pro Bowl level this season." Coming from someone who's seen every version of this Cleveland team over the years, that's not just flattery. That's recognition earned through consistent excellence. And she's right. When you watch Delpit this year, you're seeing a player who has grown into a cornerstone of this defense. His awareness has sharpened. His tackling angles are cleaner. His reads are quicker. It's like watching a veteran who's been through the fire and come out stronger on the other side. Of course, Delpit's breakout wouldn't be possible without the help of a rejuvenated defensive front. MYLES Garrett, the perennial All-Pro, seems to have rediscovered his rhythm, terrorizing quarterbacks again and freeing up teammates to make plays of their own. That ripple effect is huge. When the defensive line collapses the pocket, it gives safeties like Delpit the freedom to be more aggressive and trust the chaos up front. Against Miami, Garrett was once again a problem, and Delpit fed off that energy like a predator sensing weakness. The Browns' defense looked fast, confident, and physical, everything that head coach Kevin Stefanski and defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz have been preaching all year. The box score says Delpit has 37 combined tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 3 passes defended, and 1 interception this season. But those numbers don't even come close to telling the full story. His impact goes beyond the stat sheet. Take the second quarter against Miami, for example, a key moment that shifted the game's momentum. On a kick return, Delpit came flying in like a missile, ripping the ball free and setting up the Browns in prime position. That kind of hustle play doesn't just boost a team's field position, it changes the emotional tide. Suddenly, you could see the Browns believing again. The sideline came alive. The crowd, sensing something special, roared. From that point on, the Dolphins looked rattled, and Cleveland never looked back. Then came the third quarter, another pivotal moment where Delpit's instincts took center stage. On a crucial 4th down, Miami tried to get tricky, targeting wide receiver Malik Washington on a short route. But Delpit read it perfectly. He closed the gap, wrapped him up just short of the line, and forced a turnover on downs. It wasn't flashy, but it was the kind of play that defines good defenses, discipline, awareness, and execution. Plays like that don't make highlight reels as often as interceptions or sacks. but coaches know those are championship-level plays. They're the difference between a defense that hopes to make a stop and one that expects to. And as if that weren't enough, Delpit helped close the show late in the game. With the Dolphins trying to salvage some dignity in the fourth quarter, he came off the edge and pressured Tua just enough to force a bad throw. That errant pass landed in the hands of Rayshon Jenkins, sealing Miami's fate. It wasn't just about one player making a play. It was about chemistry, trust, and timing. Delpit set the trap, and his teammates sprung it. That's the sign of a defense operating at full capacity, and it's the kind of cohesion that turns good teams into great ones down the stretch. Now, as the dust settles and Cleveland looks ahead, one thing is becoming clear. Grant Delpit is on a trajectory that could lead him straight to his first career Pro Bowl. And if he keeps playing like this, it won't just be a sentimental nod. It'll be well-deserved recognition for one of the league's most complete safeties this season. His combination of physicality, intelligence, and versatility makes him a nightmare for opposing offenses. He can line up in single high coverage, blitz off the edge, or drop down into the box to stop the run. He's everywhere. And when a player like that starts stacking performances like the one he just delivered against Miami, voters notice. Teammates notice. Opponents definitely notice. You can see it in the way his teammates talk about him, too. They trust him. They feed off his energy. When Delpit makes a play, the entire defense seems to stand a little taller. That's what leadership looks like. Not necessarily loud or flashy, but impactful and steady. He's becoming the glue guy, the emotional heartbeat of a defense that's finally starting to play to its potential. And in a league where the margin between success and failure can come down to one or two players setting the tone, Delpit is proving to be one of those tone setters for Cleveland. It's also worth noting how meaningful this all must feel for Delpit personally. From being drafted with big expectations to battling through injuries and inconsistency, he's had to fight for every bit of progress. And now, it seems like all that patience and hard work is paying off. There's a confidence to his game that wasn't always there before, not arrogance, but a quiet assurance that he belongs among the best. You can see it in how he moves, how he reacts, how he celebrates with his teammates. It's the look of a player who knows he's finally arrived. The Browns fan base, long accustomed to heartbreak and rebuilding narratives, has every reason to be excited. This isn't just about one big win or one player's breakout. It's about the emergence of a defensive identity that could carry this team through the grind of the season. MYLES GARRETT, Grant Delpit, Denzel Ward, and the rest of that unit are building something real. And if Delpit continues to anchor the back and with the kind of poise and explosiveness he showed in Week 7, Cleveland's defense could end up being one of the most feared groups in the league by the time winter rolls around. Of course, the road ahead won't be easy. The Browns still have a tough schedule, and the AFC is stacked with talent at every position. But the encouraging thing is that Delpit and this defense are trending in the right direction. Momentum matters in football, and right now, Cleveland finally has it again. They snapped the losing streak, rediscovered their swagger, and reminded the league that they're not going away quietly. And at the heart of it all is Grant Delpit, the safety who refused to forget what winning felt like, and who might just be playing his way into the biggest honor of his professional career. If he does make the Pro Bowl, it won't be because of one stat line or one viral highlight. It'll be because he's consistently made winning plays, lifted his teammates, and embodied the kind of resilience that defines the best players in the game. Whether it's forcing fumbles, stuffing receivers short of the sticks, or pressuring quarterbacks into mistakes, Delpit is doing it all. And as this season unfolds, his story is becoming one of redemption, leadership, and elite performance. The Browns needed a spark, and they found it in number 22, the man who's turning potential into production and quietly building a case to be mentioned among the NFL's elite safeties. So as Cleveland fans celebrate that much-needed win over Miami, they're not just celebrating a final score. They're celebrating a resurgence of their team, their defense, and their belief. And at the center of it stands Grant Delpit, playing the best football of his life, and finally getting the recognition he's fought so hard to earn. The Pro Bowl might still be months away, but if he keeps this up, it's not a question of if he'll make it, it's when. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. MYLES GARRETT has finally broken his silence, and let's just say, the Browns' locker room might be in for a storm. In an interview that's already sending shockwaves through the NFL, Garrett didn't hold back, and his words have fans and insiders buzzing like never before. According to him, there's a clear sentiment within the team, a feeling that nobody, yes, nobody in the Browns' locker room, wants a certain player to return. And the way he said it, the message couldn't have been clearer. No one on the roster wants him back. Those are not just words. That's a declaration, a statement dripping with tension, and it's hard not to imagine what might be happening behind closed doors in Cleveland. The NFL is no stranger to locker room drama, but when a star like Garrett speaks so openly, it's impossible to ignore. The timing of this revelation is also intriguing, because it comes at a moment when the Browns are trying to redefine themselves, rebuild trust, and, frankly, prove that they can still compete at the highest level. MYLES GARRETT is not one to mince words. Known for his intensity on the field, his ferocity as a pass rusher, and his no-nonsense approach to teammates and opponents alike, Garrett's public comments carry weight. When he says something about team dynamics, people listen. And this time, what he revealed is potentially explosive. Rumors about locker room tension with this particular player have been swirling for months, whispers that were quietly dismissed or labeled as speculation. But now, with Garrett breaking his silence, those whispers have suddenly become headlines. It's one thing to hear rumors. It's another to hear a star defensive end, someone who is not just a cornerstone of the defense, but also a player with a voice in the locker room, confirm that there is a significant disconnect. The implications are massive, not just for team chemistry, but for roster decisions, contracts, and even the front office's credibility. How do you bring a player back into the fold if the locker room, the very group responsible for executing plays and winning games, is openly opposed to it? Garrett's blunt honesty has thrown this question into the spotlight in a way that no one saw coming. The situation also raises questions about leadership, both on and off the field. Garrett's comments suggest that there's a level of collective agreement among the players, that this is not just one person's opinion, but a shared sentiment. If true, that tells you a lot about the current culture within the Browns. Are players speaking up more openly than in the past? Is this a reflection of frustration that has been brewing for seasons? Or is it simply a tactical statement, a strategic move to influence management decisions? Whatever the case, Garrett's revelation adds layers to the narrative surrounding the team's off-field dynamics. Fans are already dissecting every word, trying to read between the lines and figure out who exactly he might be referring to, and whether this will lead to a permanent split. The NFL thrives on drama, and this kind of candid insight from a star player only fuels the conversation. Social media exploded almost immediately after the interview, with analysts, former players, and diehard fans weighing in on the situation. Theories abound, speculation is rampant, and the Browns organization is undoubtedly bracing itself for the fallout. Of course, it's important to remember that these are Garrett's words, and while he is a trusted voice, the final picture is never completely clear until the front office takes a stance. Rumors and player statements often swirl in the NFL like wildfire, fueled by leaks, interviews, and subtle hints dropped during press conferences. But Garrett's assertion is striking because it's direct, unfiltered, and public. This isn't a vague suggestion or a carefully worded diplomatic comment. It's a direct observation about the locker room sentiment. The public nature of the statement is itself a signal. Garrett wants this to be known, perhaps to put pressure on management or to simply voice what many players allegedly feel. And when you consider his reputation, his competitive spirit, his high standards, and his demand for accountability, it makes perfect sense that he would speak out if he truly believes that bringing someone back could disrupt the team's harmony. The Browns, as a franchise, have been under intense scrutiny in recent years. Every roster move, every draft pick, every coaching decision is analyzed in excruciating detail by analysts and fans alike. Now, with Garrett openly stating that the locker room is against a player's return, there's a new layer of drama added to the franchise's narrative. What does this mean for the player in question? Are we looking at a potential trade, a release, or simply a situation where the player will remain unsigned until the tension cools down? The possibilities are endless, and the uncertainty is part of what makes the NFL so captivating. For the Browns front office, Garrett's statement is both a warning and a roadmap. Ignoring the locker room sentiment could lead to disaster on the field, but acting decisively could stabilize the team and send a message about the importance of chemistry and culture. It's a delicate balance, and every move will be scrutinized under a microscope. The ripple effects extend beyond just the Browns organization. Other teams, agents, and players are certainly taking notice. When a high-profile player like Garrett publicly declares a locker room consensus, it sends a signal throughout the league. Teams start asking themselves questions. Could this player be a locker room risk? Are there underlying issues that might affect performance? And perhaps most importantly, how will the narrative affect negotiations, contracts, and trades? In a league where perception is often as powerful as performance, Garrett's words could influence the trajectory of multiple careers. Agents might rethink their strategy, players might reassess their priorities, and teams could shift their approach to roster building. It's a ripple effect that could extend far beyond Cleveland. At the core of all this, of course, is the human element. NFL players are not just athletes. They are personalities, competitors, and individuals with strong opinions about their teammates and the culture around them. Garrett's comments highlight the delicate interplay between talent, leadership, and locker room dynamics. It's a reminder that football is as much about people as it is about plays. A player can be phenomenal on the field, but if they disrupt team cohesion, it can have serious consequences. The Browns are a perfect example of this. They are trying to build a team capable of competing at the highest level, and maintaining harmony in the locker room is critical. Garrett's revelation shines a light on the challenges the franchise faces, and it's a story that will continue to evolve as decisions are made and reactions unfold. Fans are already divided, as expected. Some praise Garrett for his honesty, applauding him for being willing to voice what others might only whisper. Others criticize the statement as potentially divisive, worrying that public comments about internal issues could create more tension rather than solving anything. Social media platforms are full of debates, with each side presenting arguments about loyalty, team culture, and the impact of speaking out. Meanwhile, sports media outlets are dissecting every syllable, every nuance, searching for clues about the player in question and the depth of the disagreement. The narrative is captivating because it combines the drama of high-stakes sports with the intrigue of human relationships, elements that always draw attention. And let's not forget the timing. The NFL offseason is a period of speculation, trade rumors, and strategic maneuvering. Garrett's timing is impeccable, if intentional, because it places this issue squarely in the public eye at a moment when the Browns could be evaluating rosters, contract extensions, and draft strategies. It forces the organization to confront the reality of locker room sentiment head-on, and it pressures management to make decisions that align with the team's collective morale. Whether or not the player returns, Garrett has ensured that the conversation will dominate headlines, locker room discussions, and fan debates for weeks to come. Ultimately, what we're witnessing is more than just a single player expressing an opinion. Garrett's statement is a window into the complexities of team dynamics, the influence of leadership, and the powerful role that trust and consensus play in professional sports. It's a reminder that behind the spectacle of touchdowns, sacks, and highlight reels, there is a human element that cannot be ignored. The Browns now face a choice: address the tension, respect the locker room's consensus, and potentially strengthen the team, or risk discord that could affect performance on the field. Garrett's bold move has set the stage for one of the most intriguing storylines of the NFL season, and fans, analysts, and insiders alike will be watching closely to see how it unfolds. One thing is certain: when a star like MYLES Garrett speaks, the league listens, and in this case, what he has to say could change the trajectory of a franchise. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!